Hi, it's Tracy. I was just wanting to share with you my story and give you a quick little rundown about what I do and why I do it. In 2008, I was sent to hospital and diagnosed with Guillain-Barré and ended up staying in hospital for 6 months. 6 weeks of those were in intensive care on a breathing machine. And can you imagine 6 months away from your family? At the time I had 2 little kids. I've got 3 now, but 2 little kids. One was just starting prep and the other one was only just 3 years old. No, she was 2, turning 3. It was just a horrific time, and I ended up being, like I said, I was on a breathing machine and I was paralysed, completely paralysed, couldn't move a muscle from head to toe. And I was like that for 6 weeks, and then after 6 weeks I could start to move again. I still couldn't walk or move my arms, but I could move my hands, and couldn't sit up in bed or anything. I was just still paralysed. So after 6 weeks on this breathing machine, I was sent down to rehabilitation, and that's where I started to learn how to do everything all over again. It was such a incredibly intense and tough time in my life. I had to learn how to use a knife and fork again, write, hold a pencil, type on the computer, and then that was only the small things. I also had to learn how to actually sit in a chair, because I'd been lying down for such a long time, and I had to learn how to use my legs again and walk. So it was pretty intense. Anyway, so yeah, 6 months away from my family, my children, but the whole time that I was there, all I kept saying is, when can I go home? I need to go home. I don't have time to be sick. I'm a mother. And that brings me to the reason why I have chosen to work online and build a business from home, because I have now 3 beautiful children, 2 girls and a little boy. And it's my job to be here for them. And as any mother knows, that any time away from your children that you can't control, it's really tough. And that 6 months I couldn't be with them. There was a stage where I couldn't even hug my children. I couldn't move my arms to hug them, and it was just heartbreaking. But I kept going, and I needed to get home. I just needed to get home. And there came a time when I had been transferred down to rehabilitation, and it was maybe 1 or 2 days after they'd got me to the ward, and I was speaking to my physiotherapist, the lady that actually got me to walk again. Jenny, I'll never forget you, I love you. And I said to her, so here I am, I'm breathing on my own again, yeehaw, what an achievement. How long am I going to be here, Jenny? Tell me, 1 week, 2 weeks, what's happening, when am I going home? And she looked at me and she said, Tracy, we're looking at least 2 or 3 months. And that was the stage where I just cried. I cried. I'd been away from my family at this stage for a month and a half, 6 weeks, and it was hard. And I just sort of went, I can't believe that it's going to be another, like, I'd done everything that they said I needed to do to get out of intensive care, and I, could breathe on my own again. And 6 weeks on a breathing machine, you can't talk. there was no voice, and God, the stories I could tell you about trying to communicate with people without having an actual voice is, some of them are just hilarious. Just my mother and I would just be in fits of, well, she would be in fits of laughter and I'd be getting so upset because I was trying to get across my message to her and talk to her and say things in the weird code we'd worked out. I got at this because it had something to do with how we did it. Anyway, so yeah, I cried. I literally just cried and just went, I can't stay here for 6 months. Like, I didn't feel sick, but I couldn't walk. I was paralysed. I just, yeah, the hospital people kept saying to me, you are sick. You are sick. You got to be here. Stubborn. Anyway, the weeks turned into months, slowly. What the illness is just growing back of nerve sheaths. So that's something that can't be rushed. It just has to happen in its own time, and as it happened, I needed to build up my strength. And so yeah, the weeks turned into months, and the whole time I kept saying to them every week, the doctors every week, they'd come and see me. Can I go home? I'm not sick. I need to go home. No, a little bit more. And they used to make me do all these exercises, and which is fine. Exercise is great. But stuff that I would never do, like hopping on one leg and jumping, as far as I can on one leg. Who does that? Nobody. Anyway. So, yeah, eventually I got my strength back, and I would walk kilometres and kilometres on the treadmill just to prove to them that I was ready. I was ready to go home. And yeah, so